Okay, cool. So basically tonight, just gonna continue again another exam paper. Then I thought, since you guys are writing on the 21st, I still can't believe you guys are writing on a Saturday, but that's fine. I think we can schedule 2 sessions next week, and I'll communicate that on WhatsApp so that we can just make sure you are prepared for the exam. Okay, so again tonight we basically just gonna go through. So again, all coming from a previous exam paper. So hopefully this will also guide you and assist you in what examples might be in your exam paper next Saturday. Okay, so first question nearly ask us, so they're giving us a statement and they want us to converse that into one of nearly the expressions. So they're giving us a lot of things in words, and we will need to rewrite it into one of the expressions that they give us as options. Okay, so let's look at this one, and let's see what they tell us. So the mother divides an amount of money among her 3 children. Kagiso, Tigeledi, and Tabu. She says Kagiso gets twice as much as his sister. And the sister gets 100 rand less than Tabu. Okay, so suppose Kagiso gets X rand, how much does Tabu get in terms of X? Okay, so let's say Kagiso gets X. Kagiso gets twice as much as his sister. So if Kagiso gets twice as much as his sister gets X over 2. So let's say that is Kagiso. Let's say that is the sister. And then we're looking for Tabu. Suppose Kagiso gets X rand. Okay, so let's just then says, and the lady gets 100 rand less than Tabu. Okay, so she gets twice as much as his sister. Okay, so then Tabu will be the one that is getting X plus 2 plus 100. So let's quickly check. If we said Kagiso was getting 300, the sister got 150, and Tabu gets 150 plus 100, so it's 250. So that means that the sister gets 100 less than Tabu. Okay, so which then is X plus 2 over 100. Okay, so this one I just basically started at the point. So they tell us start at Kagiso with x. So then from Kagiso with x, we move on to the sister, that's getting half. And then the sister basically is getting 100 Rand less than Tabu. So Tabu gets 100 Rand more than the sister. So that is a way of working out this one. Okay, so interesting one to start off with. Basically needing to put in terms of x the expression. Okay, next one, we now need to start simplifying. So again, we're getting an expression, and we need to simplify. So the first thing I would do is to multiply in. So for the first term, that is, okay, I don't need to write that again. Okay, so that is 2a to the power of 3 minus a to the power of 2 minus 4a. And then with this one, you can nearly, what I would have done first is to say, let's multiply those two. So we get 2a to the power of 2. And that we will also need to multiply by what's in the brackets. So that's just for me easier to do that step first. I'm just worried that sometimes one makes a mistake if there's too many brackets and things to look at. So I would have said then, okay, let's just rewrite the first component again. Then minus 2a to the power of 2 times a gives you minus 2a to the power of 3. And then that one is plus 6a to the power of 2. Okay, so those two will cancel out. You can see there's nowhere where it is a to the power of 3. Then minus a to the power of 2 minus a to the power of, or minus 6a to the power of 2 gives us minus 7a to the power of 2. So there's that one. Okay, nowhere else, but let's just make 100% sure then. The last one is minus 4a. So again, option 4 is the correct one. So again, with this one, just follow the process. For me, it was a bit easier first to do outside of the brackets, multiply those two together, so that I don't get confused if we only first multiply with that and then maybe forget to multiply everything with a second one. Okay, so this one was looking at an expression and you needed to simplify it. Okay, the next one will most likely be also something like that, but now it a bit more difficult because it brings in square roots and those kind of things. So let's look at it as 3 individual terms that we first gonna look at and see if there's an easy way out of it. Okay, so 64p to the power of 2. So square root of 64 is 8. So then already I'm looking, okay, that's probably one of my answers. Square root of p to the power of 2 is just p. Square root, and again, let's see why we did that, because it's exactly the same to say this, which we can then say let's keep the 64 quickly out of it. Just want to show so the p is basically p to the power of 2 divided by 2. So the 64 we could have done as 8 to the power of 2. So if we then write that over, it's 8 to the power of 2 over 2, which is 8 to the power of 1, which will give us 8. Okay, so that component has been done. P64, so that becomes P64 divided by 2, which is P52. So we will multiply by P52, and then that stays the same. There's nothing that we need to change there. So we sit with P1 plus 52, so it's 53 plus 2 is p to the power of 55. And in front we have the 8. So 8p to the power of 35. You can see there's also the p to the power of 35 with a 52. And what they probably wanted to see with that one is, did you divide 64 by 2, or did you use the factors of it? The same nearly to get to P11. Did you say 64 divided? Okay, that was, so that couldn't have, unless you said 64 divided by 4 or something like that. Yeah, the 11 one, not sure how that could have been a possibility. Okay, so that is, again, we need to simplify expression, and this expression had now powers and square roots within that. Okay, so the next question, again, simplification, and in this one we're looking at something that you have a fraction before a term, then within the term, luckily nothing that seems we need to do, and then exponent as well. So what I would do is I would do this part first. So I would say, okay, let's keep the quarter. 4 to the power of 2 is 4 times 4, which is 16. A to the power of, or A3 to the power of 2 is A6. And then we just multiply the quarter in. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. A to the power of 6, which is option 3. If you said in this instance for A3 and you you just said 3 plus 2, you would have gotten the 5. But remember, the easy way not to make a mistake with this is to say, okay, but it's 4a to the power of 3 times 4a to the power of 3. And then it's easy to see, okay, well, it's 16a, and then we add the exponents together to get you a 6. Okay, so just be careful, because if you said 3 plus 2, there would have been an answer for you in this instance, which would have been the wrong answer. So yeah, just be careful when you do the exponents, that 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 doesn't catch you out. Okay, next one. So moving from exponents into equations, and solving for, in this instance, a. So they give us two sets of equations. So what I would have done is simplify it. So 3 times that is 6a. 3 times that is minus 3. Then on this side, it's the highest number of a's, so I will bring all the a's over. So we'll sit with 6a minus 4a on this side, and on the other side, 7 plus 3. So 2a equal to 10. So a is equal to 5, which there is an answer for. Okay, so this one, again, for myself, to make it easier, I like to work with positive numbers. So I would want to work with a positive a. You could have done exactly it the other way around as well. So you could have said, okay, let's take the 6a over. Then it becomes minus 2a. Could have said, let's bring the 7 over. Then it becomes minus 10. Then it would have been, because you divide on both sides with minus 2, you will also get a is equal to 5. So it doesn't matter which side you take it. Just remember that then when you nearly simplifying it, that what you do with the sign will make a difference in the end. Luckily here, there wasn't a minus 5 or something like that as well. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Probably also going to be a solve the equation. In this instance now, we're working with fractions. So let's see how we can do that. So what I would have done is, again, let's take all the positives, or let's keep it positive, because there is a minus there, so I don't want to end up with a minus. So if I take that to that side, it will be 1 minus 1 over 7, so it will be 6 over 7a that's left. And on the other side, we sit with 2 over 3. Okay, so now, unfortunately, we need to work with the fractions, but let's get rid of it by getting your smallest common denominator. So 3 and 7, probably the easiest one is to multiply by 21 on both sides. So if I multiply by 21, on this side. I must do it on the other side as well. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 21 sevens. So on this side, we're sitting with 14. 7 goes into 7 once, 7 goes into 21 3 times. So on this side, we're sitting with 18a. Then I can probably still divide by 2. And then if I then want to get rid of a 9, divide by 9 on both sides. So my A will be equal to 7/9. And if you want to test it, let's quickly check it out. So let's say 1 divided by 7 times 7 divided by 9. That gives me 0,11111. And if I say that is plus 0.66666, I get 0,007 or 0.77778. So that is when I say 7 divided by 9, that is exactly what I get. So one can put it back into your calculator to just check it out if it does make sense. So it does. So it is 7/9. Interesting, the minus 7. I'm not 100% sure. Here you can see, because we have worked with the 18, there might have been confusion in there. And this one is 7/2. So again, there might have been a bit of confusion as one cancels it out. Okay, but definitely something you guys will get is your equations that you need to solve with fractions. Okay, so that will definitely be part of the questions that you guys will get. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So now we're basically looking at expression, but that must be divided. So now we need to follow the rules. So I will just work from one side to the other. So 18b to the power of 2 over 4a. We need remember to nearly use the divide by. We can just use multiply, but we need to swap it around. Okay, so let's see if we can at least cancel a few things out. So 4 goes into there once, 4 goes into there once. So that one can just cancel out. And okay, very interesting, 1 with A, so we can already say my A's are gone. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 18 6 times. B goes into B once, B goes into B square, so that is left 1. So we sit with 6b times 8 divided by 9, but let's see, we can say 3 goes into there 3 times, 3 goes into there 2 times. So we then sit with 2 times 8b over 3, which is 16 b over 3. Okay, and I now wanted to say it goes in there 8 times, but obviously not. Then it would have been 18. So this is our final answer of 16b divided by 3. But again, what I would do is I will just work from left to right. Don't make it too complicated by doing that first. I'll just work from one to the other side, um, and see what can be cancelled out. Um, if you want to, you can multiply everything at the top together, everything at the bottom together, and then try to simplify. But I like this method where you're nearly making it easier for yourself to see what um, the end one is that you need to simplify and if it is possible. Okay, so and this is also probably something that you will get. They love to ask the one, especially where there's a division, and where the division is in the first part of your question nearly. So this is definitely something that they will ask you. Okay, let's just make this a bit bigger so that we can see what we need to do here. Okay, so this is an interesting question. So they ask us to simplify this question. Okay, so it's not multiplication, so we can't just cancel out. So the easiest way to do it is to say, well, we're gonna use 2BC as your common denominator, and then we're gonna see at the top what we can group together, and hopefully then one of these makes sense. So what I will do is to say, can I just see if it is 2BC? Yeah, so I will multiply by 2BC. So at the top here, let's just do it separately first. So we'll sit with 6 times 2, which is 12. So let me write that out. It will be 12 ABC. Plus, when we sit with 2B squared C, and that will be over, let me just see. Okay, something is not adding up here. Let me just quickly think what is that right? Okay, so let's just see if that is right. Okay, so let's try that again. This is now an interesting one. Okay, so I'm now looking at for answers, and now instead of just thinking what I would do. Will we say multiply by b plus 2c? So that is at the bottom, b plus 2c. And if we do this, will it make any difference? This one is actually not, why is it not so straightforward? Any ideas from your side? I am missing something in here. Definitely missing something. Okay, so let's try something else. So if I multiply can multiply by 1, which can be any of those, but that's not gonna make sure. This is, I think I'm missing a simple way, yeah. Okay, so let's say we did originally say let's multiply by 2 BC. Okay. And let me quickly. Okay, so we will have 6a Ah, okay. So look at that. We're going to use it for the B, and then we're going to use it for the C. Okay. It took me some time. So what we're going to do is say 6a over b times 2c over 2c. So that we're doing with that one. So we're multiplying with 1, so that is fine. And then on the other side, we have B over 2C that we are multiplying by sorry, not where am I now getting that? I was now looking at the other one that we're multiplying with B over B. So that on this one, we sit with 6A times 2C. So let's make it 12AC divided by 2BC. And on this side, we sit with B2 over 2BC. Okay, and then we can say 12AC plus B2 over 2BC. Okay, so I knew we needed to use a BC, but one should treat it as two individuals terms and not as I wanted to at the beginning to multiply everything by that. Okay, and then that will be your final answer, which is option 2. So okay, this was quite a difficult one, and definitely not a straightforward one. So really difficult, and I took me a few times to get to how we solve this one. So look at the options, nearly what you get, but then also look at certain things that you can't. So you can't say B plus 2C, so that one is not an option. C could have happened if one can cancel something out. That might have also happened, well, if we actually add extra A's everywhere, that is one of the answers, but it's not the simplest answer. Because you can see, you can actually add the A to this to get A to C plus A B2 divided by 2ABC. So then opponent would have just added a extra A, which would have given you option 4, but again, you need to simplify the following expression as far as possible. So here you should have been able to say, okay, I can still cancel out the A's. Okay, so that was quite the interesting one, right? That is, so if we set multiplied by 2ABC, that is probably what we would have gotten. Okay. And not the easy one was, I think, yeah, I needed to think a few times how to do that. Okay, so let's look at the next one. I hope that is minus. So we'll first do the multiplication. So I'll do that component first. So 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 15 3 times, 8 goes into 8 once, 8 goes into 16 twice. So then we're sitting with 3 over 5 minus 2 over 3. feels like it's going to be something negative. Common denominator, so we'll have it as 15. So 15 goes into 5 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 15 or 3 goes into 15. 5 times 5 times 2 is 10. So we sit with 1 over 15. So minus 1 over 15. Okay, which is option 3. Okay, so that was a bit easier, but one needs to remember that you need to do the multiplication first. Okay, so let's look at the next one. I think this was the only one around measurements and things like that. The other ones was not very clear, so I will see if I can just get exam paper that is a bit more clearer when it looks at the figures. So if you need to work out the circumference or the area or the volume, that we just get something that is clearer and we can see the numbers. Okay, so here it looks like we're working with your volumes and things like that, but actually all that they're asking is you've got a formula and you need to rewrite this formula. Okay, so, and make H the subject of the formula. So we will always then see if there is things we can take out of it. Is there things that we can make easier? If you look at all these options, so the first thing I would have done is to say, okay, well, it seems like, okay, we need to isolate for H. So what I would do is first get rid of the 2 pi. Okay, sorry, that is r squared. So to get rid of that, we'll minus on both sides. And we sit with r squared, which is then equal to 2 pi r times h. So then to get rid of the 2 pi r, we will divide on both sides with that. So a minus 2 pi r squared divided by 2 pi r is equal to h. Ooh, let's quickly a minus 2. Oh, okay, cool. Number 1 is the correct one. Okay, so that was actually nothing to do with areas, or they just wanted us to nearly rewrite the formula. So they can ask you any formula and ask you to rewrite it. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Okay, now we go into into straight lines. So in this one, we get to data points. I think that was exactly the same nearly as in one of the previous questions or papers. We get to points and we need to basically say which one of those equations goes through those points. Okay, so the first thing I would do is, if I look at those 2 points, I would work out the slope. And the slope is basically the change in y over the change in x. So let's just write this a bit better. So if we say change in y over change in x, remember that is y, so 1 minus 1, and the x below minus 3 minus 1. And so that is going to be our slope. So 1 minus 1 is 2, minus 3 minus 1 is minus 4. So our slope is minus a half. Okay, so slope is 1 in front of the x, minus a half, plus 1, minus 1, minus 1. So basically, those are all wrong. It should be option 1, but let's just make sure. So if we have this formula, we can substitute any one of those numbers or points into it to solve C. So let's put that first one in. So where x is minus 3, your y is 1. So 1 is equal to, so minus a half times minus 3 is positive 1.5 plus c. So if we take this part over, it becomes minus 1.5. So 1 minus 1.5 is actually minus a half. So we get c is minus a half. And we also see where c is minus a half. Okay, so basically when you get 2 points, need to create a straight line. That's the one method that you can do to get to it. Okay, so let's go into the next question. We've got a few more. So this one was looking at, supposed a racing bicycle cost an amount excluding that, and then another amount including that. What is the percentage of that? Okay, so the way we'll answer this one is nearly to see what is the change in the numbers. So you will start off to say, well, the number including that minus the number excluding that divided by the number excluding that. So that we will then need to multiply by 100 to give us the percentage. Otherwise, it would be comma something. So let me just check on my calculator. So 1753.75 minus 1425, 1525, it's 228.75. And if we divide that by 1525, we get 0.15. If we multiply that by 100, we will get 15%. Okay, which is again option 1. Okay, so for this one, we use the number that included minus just the number with excluded divided by excluded. It's the same when if you need to maybe work out what was the growth on something, you would have said, okay, but my end value, which would have been your future value, minus your present value, divided by your present value, will give you a percentage growth. So that's nearly the same method that we are doing with this question as well. Okay, now let's go into a bit of nearly the sums that so they're giving you a bit more information. It might be that we need to use a formula. So let's just see what the word sum is that we need to calculate. Okay, plumber charges a call out fee of 160 Rand plus 240 Rand per hour to do a job. At least how many hours must he work in order to earn more than 120 Rand for a specific job? Suppose he must work at least X hours. Okay, so he gets paid 240 Rand per hour plus a call out fee of 160 Rand. Okay, so what we will do then is to say, okay, but firstly, let's subtract that call out fee. And that will then be equal to 240 divided by X. So they should have, the question should have read a bit differently, but let's, and so 960 divided by 240 gives us 4. So at least needs to work 4 hours. Okay, so they should have just, and maybe I'm trying to read too much into it, but they should have said at least how many hours must he work on this job in order to earn more than, okay, so there they said a specific job, so that is fine. Because it's a specific job, you have the once off call out. If it was 2 jobs, there would have been another call out of 160. So I was looking for this specific because he's only been working on 1 job. There is only 1 call out fee. So just be careful nearly in the exam that just look for that thing that says it's only 1 job. Because if it's 2 jobs, then there will be another call out fee. Okay, so just, and that was nearly why I said I was wondering if this was correct, but here they did include, so he's working on a specific job, but there's only one call out fee. Okay, we've got a few more, so let's look at the last three questions. I think one of them is ratios, one of them is we go into some of the financial maths with simple interest. And the last one, I think we're just doing a compound interest. Okay, and then next week I will get another paper unless there's also questions that you guys want to send me. But otherwise next week we will just work out more papers so that you can just see what types of questions can be asked. Okay, question 18 in this one. A manufacturer uses, this looks so familiar to the one we did last time. Manufacturer uses three main ingredients to make polish. The ingredients are melted wax, water, and white spirits. And they are in a ratio 3:4. 1.5, so let's call it 3/2, and 5/6. Interesting. So last one, I just want to check last week. There was something like this. It was a bit different, but I'm sure there was. Okay, so there was exactly the same type of question. The ratio was just different. Okay, so one could see a lot of these questions nearly being repeated, but in different ways. So the first thing we will probably need to do is to get a common denominator for this one. So probably 12 will suffice. So let's use 12. So if I multiply by 12 straight through, it will be 12 divided, or 12 times 3 divided by 4, which will give me 9. Then it is 12 times that, again 36 divided by 2, which will give us 18. And again 12 times 5 is 60. 60 divided by 6 is 10. Okay, so that will be our new ratio. And if we add all of those together, I get 9 plus 18 plus 10, which is 37. Okay, sure. Gonna be an interesting, how many liters of wax will be needed to make. Okay, so wax was this one. So I would have said 9 divided by 37 times 50. Okay, so let's hope that is there. 9 divided by 37 times 50 gives us 12.16. Okay, which is there. Okay, let's just check. 18 divided by 37 times 50 is, so your second one would have been 24.32. Okay, so it is there, so at least we know that is right. And then your 10 divided by 37 times 50 gives us 13.51. Not there. That's fine. So let's just add them all together. 13.51 plus 34.32 plus 12.16 which will give us also again 50. So if we add all of them together again, we also then get 50. Okay, so just again nearly to check that we have done the sum correctly. Okay, very similar question. In this instance, they give us it as fractions. So the fractions we then need to transpose back into numbers so that we can get the values we're looking for. Okay. Second last one. So simple interest. How much money must be invested at 15% interest for 3 years and 6 months? So we got the S. We want to know how much is invested for n times or I times n. So how we will also do this is to say, we need to say S divided by this equation so that we can get P. Let me just, how much money must be invested at 15% simple interest for 3 years if 5,250 interest is to be earned? Okay, so again, read it wrong. So what is the simple interest formula? Sure. We did that. Let me quickly see now. Maybe we did it also in one of these questions. To see where is the simple interest. Okay, no, so let me quickly go to our class notes. I think I asked it last time as well. Is your exam open book or not? Just so that we know which of my notes you guys are allowed to use and not use, and if you can allowed to print it and then work with it. So let's quickly just get that formula. Okay, so that was our formula. So let's quickly see. The interest they tell us is that P times R times T. So I need to get to that amount must be invested. So interest divided by R times T will give me the P. Let's quickly then get that away. So we know that the interest is 5250. We know that the interest rate is 0.15 times, what's it, 3.5. Shoo, this feels way too big. So 0.15 times 3.5. Oh, okay. Actually, not too big. On the dot, 10,000. That feels weird. Okay, but there is on the dot 10,000. So not that weird at all then. But one needed to remember what that interest formula is, and not make the mistake that I did, because I just thought that is my future value. Instead, that was my interest earned. Okay, so again, please read and not make assumptions like I just now made the assumption that we are looking for something else. So very important, and then important nearly that we know what the interest function is, because that again is not something we use a lot. We normally use the function of how to work out what your future value will be or your present value. Between those two, we can nearly see what the interest is, but we never really feels like it that we need to ever work out interest. So I think this was a very good example of something else that can be asked. Okay, then let's look at the last one for tonight. Find the difference between the simple interest and the compound interest compounded yearly on 4240 at 6% for 3 years. Okay, so they want us to work out what the simple interest one will be. Then they want us to work out what the compounded interest one will be, and then what is the difference between the two. Okay, so let's see. 4240, 1 plus I 0.06 times 3 years. Okay, so let's see what this S will be. So 0.006 times 3 is 0.18 plus 1. So 1.18 times 4240 gives us 5003.2. And on this side, 4240, 1 plus 0.06 to the power of 3. Okay, so we'll do that a bit different. 1 plus 0.06 is equal to 106. That to the power of 3. That to the power of 3 is equal to 1,191. It doesn't really seem like over this short period going to be a big difference. It will be funny if it is for 46 Rand. So times 4240 is equal to 5049.91. So if I subtract the 5003 from that, we get 46.71. Okay, who would have thought over 3-year period that the only difference between going interest compounded and interest simple is 46 Rand. Okay, so again, it would have been the minus the 5003.2. Okay, cool. So that is another paper that we have gone through. So again, one can really see a lot of repetition between the papers, in the sense of certain things that you will see. So expressions, yes, but within expressions, there's the ones that you will see have the fractions. Um, then if you look at the ratio, so there was a ratio, one that was in the previous paper and this paper, exactly the same question nearly. The only difference was in the one they used fractions and not whole numbers. So it might also be that they use percentages. So that can also be a way that they can change up that a bit. And then between your financial maths, um, they can ask you to work out simple interest. So here it was basically we needed to work out the future value of a simple interest, future value of a compound interest, and see what the difference is. But they can also ask you a question specifically related to just how much the interest was. Okay, so for next week, I will put together more questions like this. Um, I will chat to you guys on WhatsApp just to see which days will suit you the best. Just wanting to take your other exams and things into account. And then please, if you have any questions that you have had in any of the assignments, and have queries about that, please forward it to me on our WhatsApp group, and I will add it into our prep for next week. Okay. Thanks, Tamlin, for joining, and see you again next week.